This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. A complaint has been filed before the Senate Committee on Ethics against Sen. Francis Chiz Escudero over the 30 million pesos campaign donation he received in 2022 from contractor Lawrence Lubiano. According to a report on State of the Nation, the lawyer complainant alleged that the donation placed in jeopardy the integrity of the Senate as an institution. Lubiano, the president of Centuries Construction and Development, Incorporated, told a congressional inquiry that the donation came from his personal funds and not from the company. He said Escudero also disclosed his donation and his name as a campaign donor in the senator's statement of contributions and expenditures. Under the Omnibus Election Code, those who have contracts with the government are prohibited from making contributions to parties and political activity. In a statement, Escudero said he was no longer surprised by the complaint. He said it was the consequence of his remarks against Speaker Martin Romualdez in a recent manifestation in the Senate plenary. Escudero said the complaint was also part of the script and a desperate cover-up. In a statement, Romualdez said Escudero's manifestation that he was behind the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte was meant to position himself as an ally of the Vice President in the 2028 elections. He said Escudero's remarks were from a Duterte diehard supporters script, calling them rehashed and false. A 55-year-old barangay councillor was gunned down inside his sari-sari store in Barangay 4 here on Thursday night. Police said the victim, Darwin Tolentino, was tending to his store when two men appeared. One of them disembarked and shot him. The suspects fled on board a motorcycle and the victim was taken to a hospital where he was declared dead. The gunman was wearing a red shirt, white shorts, and black cap, and his companion was clad in white and grey t-shirt and maroon pants. Police are conducting follow-up investigation. Meanwhile, a 33-year-old mechanic was killed after a wing van truck rammed his motorcycle Friday in Barangay Sola, Caballao, Laguna. Police identified the victim as Eduardo Bulalim Jr. Investigation said the truck driven by Alan Castro, 45, overtook the vehicle ahead of him and collided with the victim's motorcycle. He was taken to the hospital NG Caballao where he was declared dead. Police arrested Castro, who is now under the custody of the Caballao police for investigation and disposition. Gunmen killed a Sangguniang Kabataan chairman and wounded two others, including a policeman, in an ambush at a busy thoroughfare in this city at noon on Saturday, the 4th of October. Prince Mohazraf Sanjani Matanog, SK chairman of Barangay Poblacion 5 and a third-year engineering student at Cotabato City State University, died instantly from multiple gunshot wounds. His relative, Muammar Salvador Matanog, was seriously wounded in the attack. The two were aboard a red Toyota Rise and were reportedly on their way to an undisclosed location when gunmen opened fire at the intersection of Jose Lim Senior Street and Sinsod Avenue, just a short distance from Cotabato City Police Precinct 1. Also injured was patrolman Norsaden Lagili, who was on duty and had responded to the incident when he was shot by the suspects. The gunmen fled on motorcycles before police reinforcements arrived. Cotabato City Police Director Colonel Jibin Bonga Kao and Brigadier General Jason de Guzman, Director of the Police Regional Office Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, said investigators are coordinating with Matanog's relatives and barangay officials to identify the assailants. Police forensic teams recovered 92 empty bullet shells from the scene. Former Las Piñas Muntinlupa District Engineer Isabelo Ballaras was arrested in his office at the Department of Public Works and Highways in Port Area, Manila for multiple counts of estafa, Las Piñas Representative Mark Anthony Santos said yesterday. According to Santos' office, Judge Tamian Reyes Mendillo of the Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 22 issued a warrant for Ballaras' arrest on the 30th of September for violations of Article 315 of the Revised Penal Code. Bail for Ballaras' temporary liberty was set at 48,000 pesos. Police officers, who briefed Santos on the case, said Ballaras' co-accused Ferdinand Villa, Dennis Aguilar and Tony Espy, remain at large. According to Santos' office, they are investigating whether Ferdinand Villa is related to former Senators Manny and Cynthia Villa and are verifying if Dennis Aguilar is a former Las Piñas councillor. This is the tip of the iceberg. If DPWH really wants to prove it is serious about reforms, they must not only fire but also jail these officials. The 450 million pesos stolen from Las Piñas is not just a number, it's the people's hard-earned money. We will not let this go unanswered, Santos said in a statement. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon earlier issued a show cause order against Belarus and 9 other engineers over allegations of lavish lifestyles and involvement in substandard projects. The officials were given 5 days to submit their explanations. The Sandiganbayan has affirmed with modification the conviction for graft and malversation of public funds of former chairman Ephraim C. Januno and 4 other officials of the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation. Instead of only imprisonment and payment of fines, Januno and his group were also imposed civil liabilities equivalent to the fines imposed on them. In a resolution issued last the 1st of October, the anti-graft court denied the motion for reconsideration filed by Januno and others as it granted the appeal of the prosecution. In its 9th of May, 2025 decision, the court convicted Januno, former president and chief operating officer Rafael A. Francisco, former senior vice president for administration Rene C. Figueroa, former senior vice president for corporate communications services Edward O. D. F. King, and former assistant vice president for internal audit Valente C. Custodio guilty of 5 counts of graft and 5 counts of malversation. They were sentenced to 6 to 10 years imprisonment for each graft conviction and 10 to 17 years for 3 malversation convictions, and reclusion perpetua for the other 2 malversation convictions. They were likewise slapped with fines of 6,370,000 pesos, 4,761,875 pesos, 2,389,093 pesos, 11,907,500 pesos, and 19,740,930 pesos, as well as perpetual special disqualification from holding public office. On the other hand, they were acquitted of the other 14 graft and 15 malversation charges. Januno and the others moved for the partial reconsideration of the court's decision, arguing that the prosecution failed to prove that they had ill, corrupt, or fraudulent intent in the subject transactions. They added that the prosecution failed to prove they misappropriated PAGCOR funds, and the exhibits presented by the prosecution, specifically those that bear Januno's signatures, are mere unauthenticated photocopies. After an assiduous review of the records, the court finds that the accused failed to raise new and material allegations in the respective motions that would convince the court to reconsider its previous finding of guilt. The court's resolution stated. Conversely, the court finds merit to the prosecution's motion for partial reconsideration, warranting the imposition of civil liability against the accused. It added. Thus, the court held Januno, Francisco, Figueroa, King, and Custodio liable, jointly and severally, to return and reimburse to the government, through the Bureau of Treasury, the amounts of 6,370,000 pesos, 4,761,875 pesos, 2,389,093 pesos, 11,907, 500 pesos, 19,740,930 pesos, which shall earn legal interest at the rate of 6% per annum computed from the finality of this decision until fully paid. The 28-page resolution was written by Associate Justice Ronald B. Moreno with the concurrence of 3rd Division Chairperson and Associate Justice Colby Miranda and Associate Justice Ijado M. Caldona. The criminal charges stemmed from the illegal disbursement of PAGCOR funds for the purchase of promotional items such as shirts, caps, tarpaulins, and other items from 2005 to 2008 for BIDA Foundation, which was founded by Januno. The Office of the Ombudsman has placed San Simon, Pampanga Marabundio J.P. Punsalan Jr. under preventive suspension for 6 months without pay in connection with 2 administrative complaints filed by the National Bureau of Investigation. The cases stem from an 5th of August entrapment operation in which he allegedly accepted 30 million pesos that he had demanded from a Chinese-Filipino businessman. Based on the evidence on record, it is preliminarily established that the guilt of Punsalan is strong and the charges against him involve grave misconduct, serious dishonesty, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service, stated the Ombudsman's order dated the 30th of September, and signed by Acting Ombudsman Dante Vargas. Vargas added that the penalty for such offenses is removal from service. The NBI, along with Real Steel Corporation representatives Owen Chua and Melody Arellano, filed the administrative cases after also charging Punsalan and the Sandiganbayan with robbery by means of extortion, violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, and violation of the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act following the entrapment operation. Real Steel Corporation President Owen Chua alleged that Punsalan lowered his demand from 155 million peso to 80 million pesos and sought an initial payment of 30 million pesos in exchange for allowing the corporation to continue operating in San Simon, and for not interfering with the implementation of local tax incentive ordinances. Vargas said there was enough basis to conclude that his continued stay in office may prejudice the just, fair, and independent disposition of the present cases. The preventive suspension was issued in accordance with Republic Act No. 6770, or the Ombudsman Act of 1989. Reached for comment, the Mayor's Counsel, Attorney Raymond Vare, counsel for Punsalan, said, "We will reserve our arguments for the court. What is important is that the mayor is cooperating fully and is committed to clearing his name." Police arrested a 24-year-old Sangguniang Kabataan chairman wanted for rape in Batok City, Ilocos Norte. The suspect, tagged as the Ilocos region's 8th most wanted person, was arrested on Monday by the Batok City police station. The suspect was arrested on a warrant issued by a court in Batok City. Ilocos Police Chief Police Brigadier General Dindo Reyes commended the Batok City police station for arresting the suspect. Reyes reiterated the commitment of law enforcement to uphold accountability. The law applies to everyone. Public service demands integrity and respect for others. This arrest highlights our dedication to ensuring that no one is above the law. The National Bureau of Investigation on Thursday announced that it has filed criminal charges against dismissed Bamban, Tarlac Mayor Alice Guo and members of her family for falsification and violation of the country's anti-dummy laws in connection with the acquisition of property and the establishment of businesses in Marilao, Bulacan. In a statement, the NBI Bulacan South District Office filed 30 counts of simulation of minimum capital stock, under Section 2 of Commonwealth Act No. 108, with the anti-dummy law, 4 counts of falsification of public documents for falsifying applications for business, occupancy, and building permits. The charges were filed against Guo Humaping, Maya Jiang Sheila Leal Guo and Maya Jiang, Seliman Guo and Lin Wenyi. According to the NBI, Guo and other family members are incorporators of several companies, including QJJ Group of Companies Incorporated, QC Genetics Incorporated, QJJ Meat Shop Incorporated, QJJ Slaughterhouse Incorporated, QJJ Smelting Plant Incorporated, and QJJ Embroidery Center Incorporated, with the same principal address on Waligaya Street, Barangay Patubig, Marilao, Bulacan. The property was purchased by Alice Guo on the 5th of October, 2010, for 2 million pesos and covers an area of 4,636 square meters. Further investigation by the NBI-BUSDO revealed that Alice, Sheila, and Seaman declared themselves as Filipinos in the articles of incorporation of the aforementioned companies, holding the majority of the shares. Moreover, Guo Jians Hong and Lin Wenyi, Guo's alleged parents, were co-incorporators in the said companies. Meanwhile, the NBI said Guo was charged with an additional 6 counts of falsification of public documents for falsifying the deed of sale and the documentary stamp related to the ownership of the real property. A female municipal councillor in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao and her husband were wounded in a daylight ambush here that left 2 dead and another resident wounded on Tuesday, police said. Police Lieutenant Colonel Oliver Pawaya, Municipal Police Station Chief, identified the 2 fatalities as Udin Dalgan, 31, of Sultan Kudarat, Maguindanao del Norte, and Rahib Wahab, 35, a tricycle driver and resident of Barangay Sambialawan, Cadayangan, Special Geographic Area. Injured were Cadayangan Municipal Councillor Sida Indela, Madran Indela Jr., 48, retired soldier and husband of the councillor, and Lani Yusop, 20, also of Cadayangan. Except for Wahab, all other victims were on a black Toyota Fortuner, driven by Yusop from Cadayangan town to Midsayap town center, traveling along the national highway in Barangay Salinayan, Midsayap, when gunmen in a white minivan opened fire around 8:45 am. Pawaya told reporters in an interview. Dalgan was pronounced dead on arrival in the hospital, while Wahab, the tricycle driver, died on the spot after he was hit by stray bullet. Police are looking at a personal grudge or rido as a possible motive in the ambush. The perpetrators sped away in their vehicle toward Barangay Malingao, also in Cadayangan. A pursuit operation is underway against the suspects. A 63-year-old former barangay captain was shot dead in Sitio Barangay Patronan, Calatrava, Negros Occidental on Monday, the 6th of October, Police said the victim Alex was driving a motorcycle on his way home when he was shot in the waist by an unidentified person on board a motorcycle. The victim fell from his motorcycle and was declared dead in a hospital. The gunman fled with an unidentified companion. Recovered from the crime scene were a fired cartridge and fired bullet. Police are looking into personal grudge as possible motive. The victim was released from jail 2 years ago for illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. Authorities are backtracking closed-circuit television cameras to identify the gunman. A deputy police chief in Cavite province, whom authorities did not name, was put into restrictive custody for allegedly raping a detainee in their station, the Philippine National Police said. In a press briefing in Camp Crame on Wednesday, PNP Public Information Chief Brigadier General Randolph Tuano said the relieved deputy police chief was taken into custody last the 19th of September and charged last the 23rd of September for violating Republic Act No. 8353 or the anti-rape law. Tuano noted, "This deputy chief of police, our suspect is currently in restrictive custody at the Cavite Police Provincial Office. Our victim is being considered to be moved to another custodial facility," he detailed. The PNP Public Information Chief did not name the deputy police chief but said he had the rank of police lieutenant and was stationed at the Novelita police station. According to Tuano, the rape incident allegedly occurred in the station early the 4th of September morning. The victim, a 34-year-old woman detained in Novelita for drug-related charges, reported the incident to the police on the 18th of September. Tuano added, "BA is part of our zero-tolerance policy, that the Philippine National Police leadership will not tolerate these violations by their men." Their police chief was replaced last the 19th of September, Tuano further noted. Additionally, Tuano said the PNP was looking to file administrative cases against the relieved deputy police chief and his superior over the alleged rape incident. The police chief and 2 personnel of the EB Magalona Municipal Police Station in Negros Occidental were relieved from their posts after a 58-year-old rape suspect escaped from their custodial facility recently. The Police Regional Office Negros Island Region recommended the relief of Police Major Eric Doranilla and 2 jailers effective October 1st. Police Lieutenant Colonel Joe Malong, PRONIR spokesperson, said Doranilla was transferred to the Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office headquarters here as deputy at the Provincial Operations Management Unit. He was replaced by Police Captain Giancarlo Mania, aide-de-camp of Police Brigadier General Arnold Thomas Ibe, PRONIR Director. Malong said the 2 jailers were moved to the Regional Personnel Holding and Accounting Unit. A motor proprio investigation led by the Internal Affairs Service is underway. The 3 police officers were relieved to prevent influencing the ongoing investigation. According to Malong, the escape of a fisherman was reported on the 9th of September, more than a week after he was arrested through an arrest warrant for qualified rape of a minor, with no bail recommended, in Barangay Tubiran on September 1st. Police offered a 20,000 pesos cash reward for any information that would lead to the recapture of the suspect but is yet to be arrested. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.